There were several fundamental attributes that the search committee sought in the person who ultimately would be selected to serve as president. First and foremost is scholarship. I am delighted to report that the candidate we selected is an educator and a scholar in the truest sense of the word, holder of a doctorate in English literature with an emphasis in technical and professional communication. She, and yes, the president-elect is a woman, has taught at the undergraduate and graduate level at 4 different universities as an assistant professor, tenured associate professor, and tenured full professor of English. She has written or edited 4 books, with a 5th under contract, been published in dozens of scholarly journals, and presented at dozens of national and international conferences. While we were impressed with her teaching and research qualifications, we were most encouraged by her understanding of where the heart of every successful institute of higher education lies, in the classroom. The second requirement is leadership. Again, the president-elect has a proven experience, temperament, and credentials to serve as a leader and senior administrator of Meredith College. Over the past 25 years, she has traveled a path in higher education that has uniquely prepared her for this challenge. She has served as special assistant to the dean and vice chancellor, as assistant dean and interim vice provost. In her current position as senior vice president, provost, and professor of English, she has overseen academic and student affairs with responsibility for a university comprising 4 campuses in 2 states with 8 colleges and schools. She worked with regional and national government and business organizations and established fruitful global partnerships for her institution. She possesses that rare quality of true leadership. She sees what needs to be done and then does it. The third requirement we set is less quantifiable, but no less crucial. The person we selected had to be a believer in the women's college model of achievement and excellence, a believer in the value of faculty-student interaction and collaboration within an atmosphere that fosters those qualities, a believer in the college's preeminent role in the local, state, national, and international community, and most importantly, a believer in Meredith College. We found that belief deeply ingrained in the president-elect, and we are confident that once you have had the opportunity to get to know her, you will discover it as well. When we found the scholar, the leader, and the believer we needed to shepherd Meredith College into the future, there was one other attribute in this candidate's vita that seemed to ensure she was indeed the ideal choice. Ladies and gentlemen, faculty, staff, students, and alumni, friends and supporters, it is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce our president-elect and Meredith College alumna, class of 1980, Dr. Jo Allen.
feel like I know a little bit of what Kate Middleton must be feeling these days. Hi, Mom. Well, good afternoon. I am so excited and honored to have been selected as the next president of Meredith College. I'm grateful to the search committee, to the Board of Trustees, and to President Hartford, who've all been so warm and welcoming to me. It's good to be coming home, where people know what beach music really is, where they know how to enjoy a good old-fashioned snow day, and where waiters and sales clerks don't grind to a halt to ask me where you's accent is from. I always say South Philly. But fun aside, I must also give quick thanks to my friends and colleagues at Widener University for their friendship, support, and teachings that have helped to prepare me for this position. When people have asked whether I like my time at Widener, I've never been quite sure which factors were at play in any particular feeling of like or dislike. You see, I changed everything when I moved from the South to the North, from public to private education, from research extensive to research intensive, and from a large to a mid-sized institution. Not always easy, but change has been good for me. It has made me think differently about myself and about higher education. It has made me question old assumptions and established ways of doing things. And it has opened for me the possibilities of managing and leading differently. In fact, what I love about higher education is that in spite of what may appear to some to be an obstinate insistence on doing things the way they've always been done, colleges and universities are fundamentally committed to change. We know that education will change a person's life. And with women's education in particular comes the opportunity to change more than just one life. Robert Ballard, naval oceanographer and finder of the Titanic, Greg Mortensen, builder of schools in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and Nicholas Kristof, New York Times columnist and chronicler of women's plights and victories in the global community, all agree. If you want to change the world, educate a woman. When women are educated, their ways of impacting their children, their families, and their communities through self-empowerment and self-esteem, general health and economic well-being, and opportunities for intellectual enrichment, creative expression, and curious exploration can truly change everything. Women in the 20th century clearly demonstrated that their advocacy for equality in the workplace and in schools, as well as for their economic self-sufficiency, could affect the entirety of our society. Today, women continue to struggle for equality in promotions, salaries, and workplace opportunities. Nonetheless, we are stronger today because of greater attention and care about those discrepancies in opportunities. In short, our struggles today are perhaps more likely rooted in an inability to see the disparity rather than the historical inability to feel or care about that disparity. It is, after all, no small thing that the proponents of women's education whom I just cited, Robert Ballard, Greg Mortensen, and Nicholas Kristof, are all men. And I'm particularly mindful of Kristof's and Cheryl Wu Dunn's pronouncement that the difficulties facing global societies, just like the difficulties facing America and North Carolina, are not women's issues. They are human issues. America and the world need our attention to address the incredible challenges of poverty, environmental contamination, violence, terrorism, racism, hunger, disease, and political strife. And we can do it. A quotation frequently attributed to Nelson Mandela, but perhaps actually coined by Marianne Williamson in her work A Return to Love, may say it best. Our worst fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, Who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. I believe this quotation beautifully captures the spirit of the liberal arts, the studies that from the times of the Greeks were the domain of freed citizens and that have come to be synonymous with studies that free the mind. The liberal arts take some pot shots these days, but recent studies show that the habits of mind they teach, critical thinking, analysis, problem solving, and judgment, all in the context of ethics and accountability, are precisely the skills employers seek most in their new hires. Meredith is uniquely poised through its liberal arts foundations and strong graduate programs to help free the mind to face our fears, to become the next generation of world changers. I can tell you that Meredith certainly changed my world, giving me the foundations for learning how to learn and ultimately for learning how to lead. I entered Meredith, the product of my family life, and a very good family life it was too. Thank you, Mom and Sister Kay. But educated people have to press beyond the familiar. They have to find ways to challenge themselves and their beliefs, to test what may yet be their truths. Seeing things differently is key to leadership, especially in these difficult times that mean big challenges for Meredith, for North Carolina, and for our nation. But no challenge is too big for those who can collaboratively pursue a bold vision, combined with the discipline to persevere. And disciplined perseverance is no anathema to women, and especially not to women leaders. If the last 2 decades of the 20th century were about women's ways of knowing, the first 2 decades of the 21st century are clearly about women's ways of leading. By creating open communication networks, offering strong support for each other, and demonstrating focused passion for our tasks, women bring the kinds of complex skills that are needed to change and improve today's organizations, government agencies, schools, hospitals, corporations, and community groups. I was thinking a great deal about change last summer when I had a few weekends in North Carolina with my family on my brother-in-law's boat that's designed more for touring than it is for fishing or skiing. And that's important because of where you get to go on the waterways. I spent glorious days on the rivers of eastern North Carolina, seeing the watersides of small towns and landings that I had never seen before. In fact, in spite of my having been reared within 40 miles of these rivers, there were some spots I had never even heard of before. What I discovered was an entirely different perspective on the territory I thought I had known, that I'd called home for so long. Similarly, in thinking about returning to Meredith, I have to admit that my perspective as student and alumna will be challenged by this new perspective as president. When I think about last summer's river travels, I'm reminded that comfort is a mixed blessing. It is indeed good to feel at home, but it's also critical to travel some new pathways occasionally, to challenge conventional ways, to invite new travelers to accompany us, to pause in less familiar places. We must remember to change our perspectives a bit, double-check our compass, and then continue forward. And just as I'm taking a new perspective on my alma mater, I'm mindful that the college is set to embark on a new plan for its future, giving all of us the chance, the exciting challenge, to review the terrain, take a different perspective, see what needs to be done, and set a bold course of action that is worthy of Meredith's legacy with the discipline for ensuring its future. That future clamors for our hearts and for our minds. We must engage our entire Meredith family, faculty, staff, and students, of course, but also corporate and community partners in creating our next strategic plan, laying out the principles of what and where Meredith will be in the next few years, and how we will get there. In short, and in the words of Chip and Dan Heath's work, Switch, we must determine what we do well and how to do more of it. Meredith attracts talented students, and we must attract more of them. Meredith has a strong reputation for high academic quality, leadership, and a significant global focus, and we need to coordinate and expand that focus with revenue-enhancing programming and outreach. Meredith is revered by the people who know her, and she can no longer be a best-kept secret. One of my favorite quotations is from the artist and author Andy Warhol, who said, "They say time changes things, but you actually have to change them yourself." I like that we can take control of our future. I like that together we can chart a vision and a disciplined course of follow-through for Meredith. And I like that we can hold ourselves accountable for creating and delivering that future. It may not be easy, few meaningful tasks are, but it will be worthy of Meredith's promise to educate the next generation of world changers. With a new day before us, I offer my profound gratitude for your welcome. Beyond that, I thank you for what you and your predecessors did to prepare me to be a leader and president of Meredith. I hope you will show me things I might otherwise miss, and I'm eager for you to help me shift my perspective and double-check my compass to ensure that I'm leading our community in the right direction. I look forward to having your steady companionship and goodwill as we explore new pathways while still appreciating the roads we've traveled so familiarly and continuing to move Meredith forward on this journey together. Thank you very much.